Well, to discuss this, I'm joined now from Abuja by Ade Omole. He is the leader of Nigeria's ruling All Progressives Congress Party in the UK. In Lagos is Segun Showunmi. He's the spokesman for the opposition campaign for the PDP's candidate, Atiku Abubakar. And in Geneva is Babar Baloch. He's the UN Refugee Agency's spokesman for Africa. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on the Newsmakers. Ade Omole, let me start with you. Why should Nigerians continue to give the APC and President Buhari a mandate to rule?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for actually having me on the show. In 2015, we did promise that we were going to be looking into three major things. First was on security, second was on anti-corruption, and thirdly was on the economy. Now, on those three promises, we have achieved a lot, and that's why we're going back to the electorate to actually renew that mandate for us. And from the feedback we've got, because we've been traveling around the country since I arrived in Nigeria, Nigerians are actually appreciative of what we've done to date, and obviously they will be renewing the mandate for the APC. On security, if pre-2015, we had close to about 17 local governments under the control of Boko Haram. That's no longer the case. On anti-corruption, we've got close to about 800 successful cases and close to 1 trillion naira actually recovered from looters. That's from the previous opposition party, as in the previous government. And looking at the economy itself, we've been able to diversify the economy. Agriculture is actually on the way up. We're also we've also been able to put together lots of infrastructure across the country, and that's also boosting the economy. Okay. And the ease of doing business is also ongoing. And these are the achievements, some of the achievements that this APC-led administration has been able to put together in less than close to 4 years.
Okay, Segun Showunmi. So we've heard from the ruling party. Ade Omole believes that on security, on anti-corruption, on stabilizing things, including the economy, they've done well. What can your candidate, Atiku Abubakar, offer that Buhari hasn't achieved so far? What can he offer that's any different?
First is first, thank you. Thank you very much. First is first, let me say that on all of the three areas where they now have accepted as their business to be evaluated, they have failed. In terms of security, the Northwest was only the area where there was challenges before. Right now we have challenges Northeast was where there was a challenge. Right now you have the challenge in the Northeast and the North Central. You have it also in the Northwest. In terms of the economy, obviously they failed woefully. You have more people in poverty. Nigeria is not a poverty capital and all of that. You know what we've done with unemployment. They've moved it to about 20.3 million people. In terms of building up the economy, we are in a recession, we're struggling. Inflation is outperforming their own growth, so definitely we're still in a negative growth, as almost like a recession. That's what's that. What are we bringing to the table differently? First things first, for you to be able to unite a nation, you must have the mindset of a leader who represents all. You cannot be parochial, you cannot be tribal, you cannot be ethnic, you cannot run around only with friends and family that you're familiar with. Atiku is a detribalized Nigerian, and he brings that to the table heavily. You need to be able to create jobs. For you to create jobs, you need to know what job creators are looking for. Who are those that are the drivers of an economy that can help you create jobs? Clearly, it is the private sector mostly, and a little bit of government. In terms of private sector, it takes somebody who has a good experience in creating jobs in the private sector to be able to use that experience to leverage in how to calibrate the economy of the country and make private sector players come back in. Okay. In terms of security, that's where they've even done the most dismally. We will be reworking the architecture completely. We'll be doing a complete audit of the security systems of our country, and we will restructure Nigeria to give it the opportunity to be able to grow. Okay. And certainly, we will grow the economy. Okay. Because we believe for us to be able to get Africa and Nigeria working, You need to have a more robust economy that creates more space for private sector players to be able to do the flip and leverage the growth in the economy, working in tandem with our people, creating value for them and making sure that Nigeria is sustainable and carries its own role within Africa and be at peace with itself.
Well, things like good governance, security, and the economy are all interrelated. They send people on the move. They create uncertainty and instability, and it creates the space for the UN to come in. Babar Baloch, I know you would love to be in a situation where the UN doesn't have to do any work in Nigeria, but it does. So you've heard from the two political sides here. As we look ahead towards the election, what worries you the most as the UN?
Our mandate is humanitarian, and our focus is on displacement situations. We work hand in hand with people of Nigeria, with the government of Nigeria, and with authorities in terms of focusing on people who have been displaced. So that the effort is there. We were just recently in Abuja with everyone launching the humanitarian response plan for some 1.8 million displaced people who are inside Nigeria, and also around 270,000 Nigerian refugees who are in the neighboring countries. Just in past few weeks, we have been handling a situation where around 40,000 refugees from Nigeria's northeast Borno state have arrived, mostly in Cameroon, and of some of them in Chad as well. So as humanitarians, we would really like to see these people, if they are able to go back to their homes and places. But in terms of the challenges for this displaced population, the challenges still remain, and they are there.
Right. So, Ade Omole, you signaled the security situation as a success in terms of the policy of President Buhari and this administration. I remember covering this story when he became president. Correct. He said, I'm going to secure the country. But if Boko Haram's still alive, we have trouble in the northeast, Correct. We have Islamic State, West African province, we have those clashes in Nigeria's central states between the farmers and the nomadic herders. And as we heard from the UN representative, almost 2 million people displaced. Can you honestly say that the security situation's under control and it's been a successful policy?
It is a successful policy. It's an ongoing policy, and we're also looking at actually revamping what we're actually doing at this present time. Now, we're not where we should be, but we've actually left where we were pre-2015. If you remember, I did state that pre-2015, there were close to about 18 or 19 local government areas in Borno, in the northeast, under the control of Boko Haram. That is not the case anymore. Now, we still have challenges, but we're actually looking into that, and we're looking to resolve that. And that's why the president, who has actually been doing a fantastic job, has actually been meeting with colleagues in other neighboring countries to ensure that we stamp out terrorism in that part of the region. And that's exactly why we've also been able to order the necessary hardware to actually combat the terrorists. We're actually retraining the army. We're actually working with international communities to actually ensure that every single terrorist or the act of terrorism is actually stamped out in that part of the country. So yes, we're actually moving forward compared to where we were 16 years ago. It is a good thing that we're doing, and we will continue to do that, and we're sure that, and that's one of the reasons why we're saying that we're actually taking the country to the next level, whereby we will have actually been in a position to actually stamp out terrorism from Nigeria.
Okay, so Segun Showunmi, looking at it from that perspective, Boko Haram has not been eliminated, but it has been crippled in many ways. A lot of their land that they had originally eaten up has been taken back by the Nigerian government, by the Nigerian army. They have managed to secure large parts of the country. So why not give them another 4-year term so they can finish the job?
Nigeria and the spaces in Nigeria under their watch has become a bloodbath that everybody can signpost where challenges are around them. Boko Haram, like terrorism, like you will know, requires that you work a little bit harder. But the most important thing is that government must recognize it has to contain it within the areas where it met it. Unfortunately for them and the mishandling of the entire military, the whole operation It has metastasized from the northeast. It's in the north central, which has killed a lot of our people there under a farmer-herdsman clash. It has moved to the northwest, where you now have places like Zamfara, Sokoto, and Co., including Katsina, where we're now losing people to mindless killing. And the worst is that the military itself, who hitherto could defeat Boko Haram and chase them out, are suddenly now being killed daily because those who are supposed to ensure that the armed forces is well funded, that the terms of reference and the funding of the welfare of the officers is intact, that the tactical command between the air and the ground forces, the army and the air force is in place, that the kind of peace you need in the armed forces, where people know when it is time for them to be retired, when they are promoted, the entire thing is just a mess. But more importantly, what causes crime in any society, be it terrorism or otherwise? Some of it can be slightly ideological, but the feeding ground for it is poverty. And on the score of poverty, the Buhari administration have failed dismally. You know and I know and the whole world knows the international community and benchmark agencies have now said that Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, poorer than India, even though we have a smaller population. We have more people worked out of school children. We have more people who don't have a job or who have lost their job. They have lost 20.3 million jobs under their watch. They have ensured that the value of our currency has been deflated and has gone down. Inflation has galloped under them. They have ensured that we are now one of the countries in the world that are considered likely to implode and become a failed state. They have ensured that now nepotism and tribalism has been elevated to ground principles of state. They have generally made the country become a country of us versus them.
So, Segun, let me get a response from Ade then.
That, and there's too much poverty.
I think it's quite easy to say that.
The cost of living is too high.
It's quite easy to sit down in Lagos
let
and
Ade
say
come in
all
and
that.
respond. Ade, come in, respond.
This is the same opposition party. Oh, sorry. This is the same opposition party that has actually caused all those problems that he has actually listed. What we're doing at this present time is actually clearing the rot that the same poverty development party actually created in this country. I'm quite happy that he's actually talking about children out of school. I'm quite happy that he's talking about security and the fact that they lost the size of, they lost 17 local governments to Boko Haram at that time. And that's exactly where they caused where we're at this present time. They are the PDP, or the Poverty Development Party, is the reason why we were where we are at this present time. So it's quite unfortunate and a bit reckless for a party, the opposition spokesperson, to come on air and start listing issues and problems and challenges of the country that was actually created by the same party. That is why the party was actually voted out in 2015.
It's interesting that you say this.
And we've been able, at this present time, close to 4 years, to ensure that we correct the rot and actually lift people out of poverty. And that's what the SIP is actually doing, the social investment programs. That's exactly what we're doing with the SIPs, because this party is a people-oriented party that is actually committed to actually lifting Nigerians out of poverty.
It's interesting that you say this, because we're going to do more Nigeria elections programs in the coming weeks, because there's a third way or an alternative voice that we want to get on as well in the future, where people speak about both the PDP and the APC, both sort of coming from the same political petri dish, and young people want an alternative. They find that perhaps there isn't enough political pluralism within Nigeria, but that's for a separate discussion. This will be the appetite whetter for now. I want to go back to Babar Baloch from the UN for that perspective, the humanitarian perspective. Babar, when you look at Nigeria, are the challenges greater in terms of security or development?
I think we need to keep in mind that we need to separate the two issues in terms of politics and humanitarian issues. So we look forward in terms of engaging everyone and trying to get support for those desperate displaced people, either inside Nigeria or who are outside in the neighboring countries as refugees. And that's why the call is beyond Nigeria as well, with 2.4 million people affected by the violence that has been unleashed during last so many years. And in the latest round, what we saw in Run, where some 35,000 desperate refugees had to flee the latest attacks of the Boko Haram and were seeking refuge in Cameroon. People were desperate, traumatized, women and children. So we need to focus in terms of how to alleviate the suffering of these desperate people. So the call goes back to Nigeria in terms of support and working hand in hand, but also beyond that. We keep calling on countries in the region, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and others to keep their borders open, because whenever insecurity comes in and desperate people are attacked, they need to find safety and security.
Right. And that's a sober reminder of the people who have been suffering as a result of the instability in recent years. And just a reminder, beyond the two candidates, Buhari and Abubakar, or the two main challengers, likely candidates, it's a country of 190 million people with 84 million registered voters. This is a mammoth election. We'll be keeping a close eye on the election. Ade Omole, Segun Showunmi, I hope you both come back onto the program as we continue to cover Nigeria's election. And Babar Baloch, I thank you very much for the UN humanitarian perspective. I've got to move on, but I thank you all again, once again, for being here on the Newsmakers.